Today I have a very special guest in town. It's Peter Gago from Australia. He is the chief winemaker of Penfolds, and in front of us you can see one of these fabulous Penfolds wines, the St. Henri, and it's vintage 2007. So you are coming in town to show us and present us the 2007.
Indeed, and we'll be looking at some older wines as well, and it's great to be back in Hamburg.
Yeah, you love Hamburg?
Oh, great city.
Great city, huh?
Great city. The architecture, and even some of the people.
Okay. But let's talk about this wine. He is part of a tasting you will do on Monday.
Yes.
With some of your greatest wines. Mm-hmm. And it's a luxury release tasting.
Yes, yes.
Why luxury?
Well, luxury is a misused word quite often, but with St. Henri, we put St. Henri alongside our flagship wine, which is Grange, and it has just about the same history as Penfolds Grange. A lot of people aren't aware of that.
Yeah. You started with St. Henri also in the 50s.
Well, we actually resurrected the St. Henri label. It was created at the Aldana winery down the road from our McGill winery in the 1800s by a winemaker called Edmund Mazur. But Max Schubert and his colleague John Davron re-established it in the early 1950s, and it was John Davron who created the style. Max created the Grange style. And
on Monday you will show us one of the oldest vintages you still have.
Yes, we'll go back through the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, and there'll be one from the 50s, the 58.
Yeah, I can't wait, and I can't sleep in the next 2 days.
I think we should go in and open a bit earlier. No one will know.
Okay, St. Henri, it's a Shiraz.
It is a Shiraz. In most years it has a little bit of Cabernet, but this 2007 vintage, the current, is 100% Syrah or Shiraz.
You can immediately smell it.
Oh, yes.
This wonderful blackberries and pepper and spiciness.
And unencumbered by oak. No oak impact at all. You know, this wine is stored in very large foudre, oak vats, minimum 50 or 60 years old. So that doesn't impart any oak flavour or oak tannins. So you're getting pure, unadulterated Shiraz fruit.
So that makes a difference to the Grange.
Very, very different.
Because Grange is barrel, it's
100% new oak, St. Henri 100% old. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Grange is always a cuvée. It's never a pure Shiraz.
Very rarely, although the current 2006 comes entirely, or give or take 4% from the Barossa Valley. There's 1 or 2% from Coonawarra and 1 or 2% from McGill, but it's essentially all from Barossa Valley vineyards, but a blend. Synergistically, trying to get something better than the components, made to the house style of Grange. Whereas this is a house style as well. Every year St. Henri looks like St. Henri. Grange, of course, is made to the Grange style. Not to a formula, but to a stylistic template. This is a St. Henri style.
And you told me that more and more people become lovers and followers of the St. Henri, and some of the vintages are more expensive than the Grange.
Well, 1971, interestingly, has really taken the imagination of a cult following, and the 71 St. Henri price now in the secondary market at auction is greater than the 71 Grange. And that's a significant statement, because the 71 Grange is a legendary Grange vintage.
Of course, yes.
Very good vintage.
And so we will have on Monday also some Grange?
I hope so.
Yeah?
I hope so,
okay.
Yes.
But thank you very much to show me this wine, this St. Henri.
Pleasure.
For me, it's a great wine.
Thank you. And you know, I think it's all about not so much even the smell, the aromatics and the flavour. It's that texture. It's different. The weave of the wine is very different to the attack of Grange or the wines with new oak.
It's, on one hand, for me, it's a very modern wine. Because we like today this pure fruitiness. But on the other hand, it's also an old-fashioned wine, because the most of the Syrahs today, they are totally fermented in new oak, and so it's an old-fashioned style, but on the other hand, it's modern.
Well, do you know, in winemaking, we love at Penfolds St. Henri, because in wine, everything is about fashion and cycles. We have never, ever changed the St. Henri style. I am sure we didn't have them in those days, but in the 1960s, if we had had focus groups, I'm sure they would have said, look, St. Henri, You know, it's old-fashioned. Give it some new way. Pump up the alcohol. Do this, do that.
Yeah.
We've never changed the style. Now, people have come back to it, but not because we're bouncing off walls, because that style is pure and true to the days in the early 1950s when it was first created by Penfolds.
Okay, folks. Thank Henry. Old-fashioned beauty becomes now fashionable.
Fashionable
and
again,
modern.
and modern again.
Thank you
What's
very much.
old is new again. Indeed.